Anoche me llegó con esa ropita ajustada. Quiero un parche como amigos, dice, pero solo dice.
I want to welcome you guys back to Close to Broke. My name is Kieran. It's a pleasure to have you folks here as always. Today, we have a couple of little things to mention. Just a massive thank you. Last week's videos did an unbelievable job of just growing out and to hitting new viewers, and that's all thanks to the OG viewers. You guys liked, commented, subscribed. You guys just went crazy. We had 15,000 subscribers. We're now significantly past that, and again, I owe so much to you guys, so huge thank you. I wanted to give you guys your own segment at the beginning of the video. Thank you guys, seriously. I want to let you guys know the meetup game with Wolfgang Poker is on April 24th, which is about a week or two out from this video. Make sure to stop by. It's going to be at the Baltimore Horseshoe Casino. It'll be on April 24th from 2 to 7 p.m. Friendly blinds, can be a wonderful time. Lastly, if you guys didn't already, I'm giving away $500, and that's at the end of this video from last week's video to thank you guys for 15,000 subscribers. Anyways, thank you guys as always. Let's hop into today's session, see what I can get myself into, and hopefully we run good. Today we're in for $1,500 here at the Commerce, playing the 5-10 game. Just quickly want to give you guys a massive thank you once again for the unbelievable support on last week's string of videos. You guys are absolutely amazing and mean the world to me. Let's hop into this first hand. Hopefully our session goes as good as last week's sessions. In this first hand, the cutoff decides to open to $30. The small blind, who is an OMC and gonna be pretty much the heart, the star, the protagonist of today's episode, decides to make the flat. We look down at pocket tens. Gonna go ahead and 3-bet here. We're playing 5 or 6 handed at this time. I make it $140 to go, to which both players decide to make the call. And this flop comes pretty interesting as it comes 9, 8, 7 with 3 diamonds. At this point, I don't remember if I'm holding the 10 of diamonds, and that'd be pretty awesome, but I don't want to check at this exact juncture. When the opponent checks it over to me, I'm going to go ahead and c-bet pretty small here, third of the size of the pot. Don't need to bet too big here, although this board is unbelievably dynamic. I do think that a bigger bet sizing, depending on my suits, is important, or just checking and playing this as a check call. I think by betting here, it's a little bit of a misplay on my end, but that is what we end up doing. I bet $100, to which both players call, and we're going off to a turn card that comes the 6 of diamonds. At this point on your screen, you can definitely see which red 10 I'm holding, but at this point, I double check. It looks to me like we have the 10 of hearts. That's not going to be good here. The interesting part now is that the small blind decides to lead for $10. When it's on to me, although I'm getting like a bajillion to 1, it's just hard to imagine that I'm really good here, especially with the player behind the act. So I make the fold. The cutoff does end up making the call, and they're going off to a river, which comes a 2 of hearts. Action checks through after a little bit of bartering between both players.
Small, check here.
Small 5? Yeah.
Small diamond. Very small.
Check here.
Okay. Okay.
And the OMC shows 9-10, 2 black 9-10 cards. Not very good on that board texture. Our opponent from the cutoff decides to show ace-queen with the queen of diamonds. So ended up getting away pretty cheap from there. And we're going to go ahead and move on to another hand. Well, that's no way we want to start. Let's see if we can build off that and try to make a little bit of money back. In this next hand, middle position decides to make it $30. The button OMC decides to make the call. We'd find ourselves in the small blind, and we look down at King Jack offsuit. If I'm going to play this hand, I'm only going to play it as a 3-bet, or I'm going to be folding here. I decide to make it $140. Once again, another 3-bet, this time with a weaker holding. This time, only the button makes a call, and we're going off to a flop that comes ace, deuce, 4 with 2 clubs. I am holding the king of clubs as a pretty reasonable blocker, as well as some extra backdoor equity. Considering the action is on me at the start of this hand, I decide to c-bet here for $90, going with a little bit of a down bet. My opponent tanks for what seems like an eternity before he makes a call. We're going off to a turn card that comes the 10 of spades. This is a great card for us to continue barreling on. He has about $600 in his stack remaining, I believe. So on this turn card, I want to maximize my fold equity. I end up jamming $590 effective, which is his remaining stack. He goes into the tank for an eternity before eventually deciding on a call. The river comes the 6 of diamonds, does not improve us in any way, shape, or form. I announced to him that we have king high, and after a little bit of a pause, he ends up showing ace queen. So he had the best hand the entire way. Good on you, sir. Yeah, a little bit of a slow roll, but you know, we have to give him a little bit of slack here because he's an older gentleman. Maybe he was just trying to read the board, but you know, nonetheless, we're going to be living with with the circumstances. We made a big play. Unfortunately, we got picked off. So to this point, we are 0 for 2 in hands. That's not a great start, but like I said, we're still under control here. Our head is still locked on to our neck. It hasn't fallen off to this point. In this next spot, the hijack decides to open up to $40. The button, who is that OMC player, decides to make the call. I look down at 4 or 5 of clubs here from the small blind. Pretty loose, but again, we're trying to get into a pot with this guy, and I think I can maneuver post flop in some aspects, hopefully. So I decide to make the call. The big blind calls as well, and we're going off to a flop that is really, really juicy as it comes ace 6-3, 2 spades and a club. We flop an open ender as well as that backdoor flush draw. The action checks over to the initial raiser, who decides to c-bet here for $55. The button decides to make the call, and on this situation, I'm going to go ahead and raise here. I have 5 highs, so taking this hand down on the flop would be unbelievably plus EV. And beyond that, I think by taking over the reins of the hand, I can possibly win it on certain runouts, even if I don't improve. And if I do happen to improve, I can build the size of the pot. I end up making it $200, to which only the button makes a call. And we're going off to a turn card that comes the King of Hearts. Not a great turn card, but it shouldn't improve my opponent's range in a great deal. I think that my opponent can easily have some form of flush draw here, as well as a weak middling ace. So when the action's on me, I decide to not stop the betting. I make it $325. And after a brief moment, my opponent here decides to make the call, and we're going off to a river, hoping we can bing something. I'm gonna need you guys to do me a big favor. On the count of 3, I'm gonna need you guys to click the like button. Hopefully we can hit one of our big outs. 1, 2, 3. The river comes, a 7 of diamonds. So we make the absolute nuts here. That is a wonderful situation. And the better situation is I bluffed earlier with an overbet with a not good hand. Now we have a good hand, so we can value bet shove here. The action's on me. I decide to shove for $1,200 effective, which is my opponent's effective stack size. And he goes deep into the tank. He ends up going into the tank so long, 5 minutes before the floor has to come over as an opponent decides to call the clock on him. The floor staff notifies my opponent that he has 1 minute to act, and he pulls out the $25 chip and has it in his hand, engaged for the call. At this point, I'm praying for a call. Somehow, this would be massive for us to get back on track. We need to get this train chugging down the right direction of these railroad tracks. Unfortunately, the countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is announced that my opponent's hand is dead, and unfortunately, we are unable to take any more money from our opponent in this spot. It is what it is. I'm happy we won the pot either way. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't get the maximum.
So his hand's got 5 high.
As you guys know, I like to play things on the side of action and aggression. It's just seemed to work out for me, and I think, as we all know, usually aggression ends up turning a reasonable profit, although it can bite you in the butt sometimes. In this situation, early position OMC decides to limp here. I'm in the low jack, and I look down at ace queen of diamonds, finally looking at some premiums. I make it $50 as an isolation, to which the small blind thinks that is a horrible idea, as he decides to 3-bet us to $205. The OMC calls, but actually he thought he was calling $50, so he ends up taking his money back and folding. When the action's now on me, I'm never going to be doing anything besides 4-betting here, considering we are playing in a game where we're only 150 big blinds effective. I'm not going to kill myself for getting all this in pre-flop if I have to. I mean, maybe that's wrong, I'm sure it is, but in this case, a suited ace queen, probably okay with letting this spin. So I decide to 4-bet here to $650, trying to get as much money as I can in the middle pre-flop, or at least leaving us a 1-to-1 SPR when we get to a flop. My opponent instantly makes a fold, and luckily for that, we end up winning about $300 pre-flop without any showdown. An outstanding outcome to this event. I think at this point in my head, all I can think about is playing a little looser so I can play as many pots as I can against the OMC on the button. And I realize that in hindsight, it's probably not a great idea. Against somebody that we perceive to be super passive pre-flop, our job should be to play a little bit tighter and really penalize them in position when we do have some premium holdings by isolating on the larger side, as they're just so prone to limp calling any amount really. Anyways, in this next hand, the hijack raises to $40. The button OMC decides to make the call. We're in the small blind, and we look down at King 9 offsuit. This is a pretty bad hand, but at the time, I tell myself that I want to be playing hands with these 2 action players that are currently in the hand. So I end up making the call. The big blind calls, and the flop comes King 10-7 with 2 spades. This is a pretty juicy flop texture, as there is a bunch of straight draws out there, flush draws, as well as a Broadway card. The action checks over to the initial raiser, who decides to c-bet for $190. The button OMC makes the call, and I'm the small blind. If we're going to be calling this junk pre-flop, I've got to make the call when we flop top pair. So we make the call. We're going off to a turn card that comes absolute gin. It comes the 9 of hearts. Although sure, Queen Jack now makes a better hand. It is, I don't know, it feels like a little unlikely or impossible Again, this is not rational thinking that I'm giving you. I'm just telling you what I'm feeling at the time. At this point, I do feel like I have what is most likely the best hand. And if that's the case, I want to bet. I bet $450 looking at charge hands that are combo draws, pairs and flush draws, or pair and a straight draws, going really large on this turn card here when it folds over to my opponent. The OMC puts out $450 and announces all in at the same time. He has around $1,200 effective. This is a pretty annoying situation, but the way we've got ourselves here, there's no way I can make the fold, unfortunately. There's too much money in the middle at this point, and there is some off chance that I still have the best hand. We're going off to a river that comes an 8 of clubs, so now there's now a one lighter out there. Not a very good river card, but the OMC is shaking his head in disgust, saying that he did not get there. I let him know that I do have 2 pair, and after a little bit of time, because I'm not going to show my cards because I am not supposed to show my hand first, as that is the job of the last aggressor, he ends up slow rolling me and showing ace 6 of spades. So I don't know, did he just want to slam dunk on me and get the flush draw as well, since I guess the straight wasn't enough. Either way, we're going to ship this pot to him. Look, I'm only human. Slow rolling hurts a little bit, right? But whatever. We're going to move on from it. We're going to take the high road like our man G-Man. Hurt me a little bit, but like I said, it's all in good fun. The good thing is that the OMC laughed about it, and it was pretty friendly. It is what it is, but unfortunately for us, 2 pair is no good against a straight. Alrighty, so as you guys can see, we've been slow rolled twice to this point by an OMC. Not outstanding. This session is going pretty much as bad as it can go, I guess. We battled back and then just to lose it, and we didn't get paid off with our value, so it is what it is. The game's pretty bad. I'm going to be totally blunt with you guys. There's 2 Euros and OMC that takes about 5 minutes to make a decision every single time, which is not fun. And yeah, I think that this will probably be my last half an hour or hour. Try to knock out a couple more hands, try not to build ourselves too much in the hole or get a little bit out of the hole. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a bit. Thank you guys for everything. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's go back. I'm not happy with the way I'm playing though, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Well, with a little bit of that walk and that fresh shot we were able to get, as we had to take a break away from the table, as to be fair, things hadn't been going great to this point, and luckily, we had just faced adversity on the Friday episode, which we were down heaps and we came back. So trying to channel that energy, trying to play a little better, because we haven't been playing our aim game, not even the B game, maybe the C- game, and that's just not acceptable. In this next hand, we are under the gun and we look down at Jack 10 of spades. We decide to raise it up here to $35. +1, the button, and the big blind all make the call. We're going off to a flop that comes King 9-7 rainbow. This is a really awesome board for us in our exact holding, as we do hold a double gutter, and it's more likely for me to have the nutted hands here. I think I'll be raising 9s and kings here, as well as ace king. So in this board texture, I'm going to go ahead and make a C bet of $70. Unfortunate thing is that everyone decides to make the call, looking to improve on a turn card that comes the ace of hearts. Again, another card that really hits my range significantly more than anybody else's. Really strong aces will be 3-betting pre-flop for the most part. And again, a lot of my range can improve to 2 pair holdings at this point. So if that's the case, I want to keep the aggression going. I bet $200, to which everyone folds. Feels good to finally drag a pot in my direction. Feels like it's been hours, but happy to finally take one down. Let's hope we can build off this momentum. In the following hand, we are in the low jack and we look down at pocket 5s. I end up making it $35 to go, to which the hijack, button, and the big blind make the call. This is horrific, having a middling pair going 4 ways to a flop, needing to hit some magic. The flop comes King 10-8, so the magic is going to have to hold for another session, it feels like. Nothing really going our way, and I decide to check this through, pretty much giving up with the hand. And luckily enough, the action checks through, hoping to improve in some fashion when the turn card comes a 10. Again, not great, but a little better than it was before. A little less likely that my opponent has a middling pair, as that now would be trips, and there's only 2 of those cards left in the existence of this deck. So I'd feel like my opponents would most likely take over the betting lead with some top pairs here. We decide to check it all the way over to the button once again, who decides to bet for $50. The action is now on me, although there is a couple people behind me, which is a little scary. I end up making the call. I realize now, and in hindsight, that this is just a really bad call. I think I should be folding 100% of the time, considering there's just too many people behind me left to act. They can easily have a 10 themselves and slow play it, or some middling pairs, or some top pairs even. So this is a pretty horrible call on the turn, but we end up doing it. And the hijack calls as well, and we're going in 3 ways to a river that comes to 7 of diamonds. I take a little bit of pause here on this river, considering maybe blocker betting or bluffing at it. I end up just checking. It checks through to the button. He He decides to bet $300, so a really big sizing, going about the size of the pots or a little more. I end up tanking for quite some time, and I think that what's likely possible is that the hijack might have the best hand, and if I call, he might fold the best hand. It's just hard to really tell, and I don't think I should be resting on those kind of laurels, just hoping that I call to make somebody else fold that might have the best hand. In reality, I just should be chucking this into the muck. It's just really hard to find a ton of bluffs here. Sure, the flush draw misses, but straight draws, there's trips out there. There's just a ton of hands that I think can be going for value. The one thing I will say is that my opponent's polarized sizing is definitely what put me in a bit of a kerfuffle. Anyways, after a ton of time thinking in the tank, I end up making the call. The hijack folds. My opponent shows 10-9 of diamonds. He played that perfecto to perfection, and I played my hand absolutely to dumpsterness. I don't think I could have played it any worse, like literally, but unfortunate. Like I said, if I want the praise when I make really big calls and really big plays, I gotta be real. This was a bad play. I'm disappointed in myself, and I've got to just put myself on blast a bit. I'm really hoping that we can get things together and close out the session on a high note. As mentioned, this will be the last hand of the session. The low jack decides to raise to $35, one of those Euro pros we've been talking about. And it gets to me in the big blind. I look down at ace-10 offsuit. We 3-bet light from the blinds earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and make the call here to stay reasonably balanced. The flop comes 9-8-6 rainbow. Definitely a flop texture. I feel like I should be leading some of the time. On this instance, I make just the check here to continue playing in flow. Like I said, if I'm ever going to lead a flop from the blinds, this is definitely one of them. I feel like I'm pretty much going to have all the sets here as well as the flop straights. Anyways, it gets over to our opponent who ends up making the check back, and we're going off to a turn card that comes with 3 hearts. Backdoor flush draw is now available, and we are not holding any hearts here. I decide to lead out for $50, betting as a bluff, as we do have a really nice bluffing candidate on this board texture. I feel like on a lot of rivers we can go pretty massive as a bluff. My opponent does end up making the call. We're going off to a river looking for some help in some fashion. And it comes the 5 of diamonds. Great card for our range here if we were bluffing with a pair and a straight draw or had an open-ended straight draw. We're pretty much getting there and betting this for value 100% of the time. I end up betting for $200 as a bluff here, but again, a really nice board texture for us to bluff at. My opponent ends up making the call fairly quickly. We announce ace high and he shows pocket queen. So unfortunately today it feels like we've been running into the top of everyone's range. That's just going to happen sometimes. We play fairly aggressive and sometimes gonna bite you in the butt. Anyways, I can't thank you guys enough for the constant support. You guys are unbelievably amazing. Your guys' support is literally, I can feel it almost when I read these comments. It's unbelievable. Unfortunately, I couldn't grab the W for us today. We're gonna talk a little more about it here in person. Let's throw it over to me in person and let's see how we fared in today's session. Shout out to everyone that entered the giveaway. Pretty easy. We're gonna go ahead and roll 5 winners. Each winner will make $500. Good luck to everyone. Let's hop right into this. Quickly, need to let you guys know, if you guys win the giveaway and you guys see your name here, make sure to comment down below. It's the easiest way I can get in contact with you and send over the monies. Our first winner is Decimate. He says, congrats on 15K. Thank you so much. Next is Jay Mello. Love to see you living your dream. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. I am happy to enjoy it. I do enjoy it every moment. It's super awesome that people care enough to stop by and say hello. So congratulations. Third winner will be Nick Lopez. Congrats on your 15K, bro. $100 aside. Your poker vlogs are really good. I enjoy watching them. Hope your channel keeps growing and that your family business does great. You're far too kind. It means so much to me to hear someone say that. Yeah, my family business is first and foremost concern, obviously. My pops build this from the ground up. They're immigrants, so, you know, my family works really hard, and obviously family business is a really, really big staple in our community, in our family. And thank you, Nick. I'm happy that you were one of the winners. That's pretty awesome. Going to winner number 4, Raise D-Man 1. Raise D-Man. That's what I'm guessing it is. Congrats on 15K subs. Love to see it. Thank you so much, man. As always, run it up. Yes, sir. You know we got to run it up. It's awesome to see that you've commented and won $100. Again, make sure to comment down below if you see yourself as a winner so I can send over the monies. Last but not least, number 5. Who is winner number 5? Brian J. Smith. Man, these videos are a pleasure to watch. Almost as much of a pleasure to watch as it is to get super nice comments like this. Thank you very much. Insightful. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much, Brian. Congratulations on winning $100. For anybody that won, again, make sure to comment down below. Appreciate you guys as always, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Yeah, we're going to hit you guys with the outro. We're all done today, and unfortunately we can win today, but At least we did a pretty good job here. We can't complain too much. Well, that brings us to the end of today's session. Obviously, things didn't go exactly to plan. To be honest, today's session was like super boring, so I didn't even get a chance to kind of let it settle in and kind of think about how we played. I'm sure you guys probably heard in the voiceovers how I feel like I played. To be fair, I didn't play my worst game ever, but I for sure didn't play my best game ever. And more than anything, I feel like we could have played better. We just didn't find a way to get there. Anyways, we were into today's game for $3,000 and out for $890 for a net loss of $2,110. Every game, every session that I play, I've vlogged. So when I lose, obviously I'm going to show it to you guys. I have no intention on hiding anything or pretending like I'm a winning player 100% of the time. We come back to earth a little bit. We've been running pretty well, to be quite fair. We feel okay. It could have been worse. At the end of the day, it's time to get the freak home because I miss the misses. I'm hungry, and it's too late for me to be out. I appreciate you guys always. Stay happy, stay healthy. More importantly, run good to the tables, y'all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.
Los panties son del mismo color que la tirita del sujetador. Estamos en nada, si pierdes la oportunidad